Beyond survival, the revolutionary power of single motherhood society loves to paint single mothers with a single brush, struggling, sacrificing, barely surviving. But recently, I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Tisha Brown, known to her community as Tisha, a visionary advocate who's completely reframing the narrative around single motherhood. Her work isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary, transforming a conversation from mere survival to genuine thriving, from limitation to liberation. Tisha Brown is nothing short of a modern day revolutionary. Through her platform, she's creating ripples of change that touch countless women's lives, showing them that single motherhood can be beautiful, purposeful, and yes, even joyful. She stands as a beacon of hope and transformation, challenging outdated narratives and empowering women to rewrite their stories on their own terms. Her impact extends far beyond supportive words. She's building a movement that's reshaping how society views and values single mothers. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just Tisha's wisdom, but how she embodies the truth that single motherhood can be a journey of profound empowerment rather than endless struggle. Today, I want to share the most transformative insights from our conversation because what Tisha is cultivating isn't just support, it's a movement, and it's one that deserves our full attention. Let's start with perhaps the most radical idea that emerged from our talk. Self care for single mothers isn't a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. I know what you're thinking. Self care, when there are lunches to pack, bills to pay, homework to check, and a million other responsibilities resting squarely on one set of shoulders. It sounds impossible, maybe even selfish. But here's the truth bomb Tisha dropped that changed everything. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Not just in the cute Instagram quote way we've all heard before, in the real, raw, your children need you whole kind of way. When single mothers prioritize themselves, something magical happens. They rediscover who they are beyond the all consuming identity of mom. They remember the woman who exists underneath the responsibilities. And when they bring that whole authentic self to motherhood, everyone benefits, especially their children. One mother Tisha worked with found herself at 35, newly single with two children, completely lost in the identity of motherhood. She'd spent years pouring everything into her family, leaving nothing for herself. Her days were an endless cycle of work, childcare, housework, sleep, if she was lucky, then repeat. Through connecting with Tisha's community, she began carving out just 20 minutes each morning for herself. Just 20 minutes. She journaled, meditated, sometimes just sat in complete silence with her coffee before the house woke up. That small act of reclaiming time transformed her relationship with herself and consequently with her children. Within months, she wasn't just surviving each day, she was present for it. She started pursuing interests she'd abandoned years ago. She began modeling for her children what it looks like when a woman values herself. And her children didn't resent this shift, they flourished alongside her. This brings me to the second profound insight from my conversation with Tisha. Single mothers are uniquely positioned to break generational cycles in ways that reshape entire family legacies. One of the most powerful stories Tisha shared was about a mother who grew up witnessing deeply troubling family dynamics, the kind that leave scars, the kind most people unconsciously repeat because it's all they know. But this mother made a conscious, deliberate choice. Her children and future grandchildren would never experience what she did. Without positive examples to follow, She had to create a new blueprint entirely from scratch. She began by identifying specific patterns, how conflict was handled, how emotions were expressed or suppressed, how love was demonstrated or withheld. Then, one by one, she reimagined these dynamics. She created new family traditions that centered emotional health. She developed communication styles that honored feelings rather than dismissing them. And she built relationship dynamics founded on respect rather than fear. The result? Not just a healthier immediate family, but a completely transformed future for generations to come. Her children are growing up with a fundamentally different understanding of what family means, what relationships should feel like, what they deserve in this world. And here's what's extraordinary: she did this alone, without a partner to lean on, without the safety net many take for granted. She rewrote her family's future through sheer determination and love. This is the untold power of single motherhood that Tisha illuminates so beautifully. The unique opportunity to examine what came before, decide what deserves to continue, and courageously create something new. The third insight that emerged from our conversation addresses perhaps the most painful aspect of single motherhood: the isolation. Society tells single mothers they should be able to do it all, then offers precious little support to make that possible. The result is often a profound loneliness that compounds every challenge. Tisha's message here is clear and life changing. You are not meant to do this alone. More importantly, you don't have to. There exists a vibrant, supportive community of women walking similar paths, facing similar challenges, celebrating similar victories. Finding and nurturing these connections isn't just nice, it's essential to thriving rather than merely surviving. One mother in Tisha's community described how she'd spent years feeling like an island, handling everything from financial pressures to emotional support, discipline to nurturing, all by herself. The weight was crushing her spirit. Through connecting with other single mothers, she discovered something transformative: shared wisdom. Other women who understood exactly what she was facing offered practical solutions she'd never considered. They provided emotional validation that her married friends, despite their best intentions, simply couldn't offer. They created space for both her struggles and her triumphs. Most importantly, these connections reminded her that her experience, while challenging, wasn't a failure or a deviation from how life should be. It was simply one valid path among many, with its unique difficulties and its unique gifts. This community became her lifeline, transforming single motherhood from an isolating experience to a connected one. The journey was still challenging, but she no longer walked it alone. What's particularly powerful about Tisha's approach is how she addresses the unique challenges faced by single mothers over 30. These women often struggle with a double identity crisis, redefining themselves after relationships end while simultaneously navigating the all consuming role of motherhood. One woman in her late 30s found herself suddenly single with a young child after a decade long relationship ended. Her entire adult identity had been built around partnership and then motherhood. When the partnership dissolved, she felt not just heartbroken, but fundamentally lost. Through embracing the principles Tisha advocates, she began the delicate work of rediscovering herself. She reconnected with interests she'd abandoned years ago. She pursued new passions. She built a community of supportive women who understood her journey. Most significantly, She learned to see this chapter not as a failure or a detour, but as an opportunity for profound growth and authenticity. She created a life that honored both her identity as a mother and her identity as a woman with dreams, desires, and needs of her own. Today, she's raising her child in an environment filled with joy, purpose, and possibility, not despite being a single mother, but in many ways because of it. Her child is growing up watching a woman who values herself, pursues her passions, and creates the life she wants rather than accepting the life circumstances handed to her. This is perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of Tisha's message. Single motherhood isn't a consolation prize or a hardship to be endured. When approached with intention, it can be a powerful catalyst for growth, authenticity, and joy. So, what can we all take from these insights? Whether we're single mothers ourselves or simply want to better support the single mothers in our lives. First, recognize that putting yourself first sometimes isn't selfish. It's necessary to be the best mother you can be. Commit to one self care practice each week that reconnects you with your identity beyond motherhood. This can be as simple as journaling, pursuing a hobby, or connecting with other mothers in similar situations. Second, identify one generational pattern you want to break and take a concrete step toward changing it. Remember that you have the power to rewrite your family story, creating healthier patterns that will benefit generations to come. Third, reach out. Find your community, whether through local groups, online forums, or platforms like Tisha's. Connect with the others who understand your journey. Share your struggles, celebrate your victories, exchange wisdom. You were never meant to do this alone. For those supporting single mothers, recognize the extraordinary work they're doing. Offer practical help rather than judgment. Create space for their whole selves, not just their identity as mothers. Celebrate their victories, both large and small. What Tisha Brown has created is nothing short of revolutionary. A space where single motherhood is recognized not just as a challenging circumstance, but as a powerful opportunity for growth, authenticity, and joy. Her work reminds us that these women aren't just surviving, they're pioneering new ways of raising children, breaking cycles, and defining success on their own terms. I want to leave you with this challenge. Reimagine how you see single mothers, including yourself, if that's your reality. These aren't women to be pitied, they're women to be celebrated. They aren't just managing, they're transforming. They aren't just getting by, they're showing us all what strength truly looks like. The mothers in Tisha's community aren't just raising children, they're raising the next generation of emotionally healthy adults. They're not just managing households, they're creating new models of family that prioritize well being over tradition. They're not just working jobs, they're showing their children what it means to pursue purpose and passion. Today, I challenge you to see single motherhood not as a problem to be solved, but as a powerful force for change in our world. I challenge you to support the single mothers in your life in tangible ways, with childcare, with community, with genuine respect for the work they're doing. And if you are a single mother, I challenge you to embrace the revolutionary power of your position, to see that you're not just surviving, you're changing the world. One day, one child, one choice at a time. Because when single mothers thrive, when they step fully into their power, when they break cycles and create new possibilities, we all benefit. Our communities grow stronger, our children grow healthier, our future grows brighter. So let's stop asking single mothers how they survive and start celebrating how they thrive. Let's stop offering pity and start offering partnership. Let's recognize once and for all the revolutionary power of single motherhood.